Thanks so much for joining us for a bonus episode of the Roanoke Presents from Print to Podcast. We're happy to welcome back the Super Carlin Brothers, Roanoke locals who have taken their content creation to the next level and are using that momentum to pay it back to their local nonprofits and organizations. In our previous segment with the Super Carlin Brothers, which took place in episode 2, we discussed the Super Carlin Brothers' rise to internet fame and how they're giving back to the Roanoke community. Now we get a little more in depth on their backgrounds, family legacy, and more. Ben and Jay, thanks so much for being on our podcast for a special bonus episode.
Oh, thank you again for having us.
We're super excited.
We really appreciate your time. So I actually wanted to kick off with revealing that I've been fans of yours for a long time, not only with your content creation and the Harry Potter videos, but specifically with your family. I watched your dad, John Carlin, anchor the WSLS 10 News since I was a kid, and I wanted to be just like him growing up behind the desk as a news anchor.
Me too.
So I'm adjacent. I'm close enough. And so I was so excited to actually get to interview him in our 2020 Best of Roanoke issue and get to meet him and talk to him. And oh my gosh, it was a really cool meet your role model situation. Your mom is also well known in the area because even I know of her love of rescue animals and her prior work with the RVSPCA. And of course, your family has expanded to include even more love with your spouses and sweet babies. Between that and having grown up here and returned after school, you and your family have truly created, I believe, a legacy here in Roanoke.
Hopefully, that's cool. I know it's never described it to me like that, but
well, and so talk a little bit about your family, just because you guys are so ingrained in the community. We talked in episode 2 about all the things that you're doing, and so I think it's really important to show that you guys are really, in it for the long haul, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely very interesting, I think, because as we were growing up in this area with our dad doing what he did, there was always kind of this first day of school thing that would happen.
Oh, yes.
Which is, you would get in, they would be doing the roll call, your teachers would be kind of learning your name for the first time. They would always get to our name and they would say Carlin, like John Carlin.
Yeah.
And there always was a little bit of that moment where you realized that your name had a little bit more meaning, or it carried enough to bring people your dad to mind. They were connecting those dots and realizing
and you better be good in school or the teacher's going to call your dad.
Yeah. Honestly, I know this shouldn't have been probably as much pressure as it was, but it certainly was. You could certainly be like, oh man, I don't want to call dad.
Right.
He's going to be on the news.
I know. Yeah. But I think it was interesting, growing up with that, being such a well-known profession, and for people kind of being able to connect who you were relative to who our dad was. And so I think, sort of as we were reaching the professional stages of our life, kind of graduating college and everything, there was that thought in the back of your mind. It's what will we do? Now it's our turn. And where will
the next legacy step.
Right.
Awesome.
Exactly. And so, it was it was trying to determine how or when or where that was going to go. And for me coming out of college, I was working with Dad directly. I had and I still do, an aquarium company called Carlin Aquarium Systems that was doing work with Center in the Square.
Mm-hmm. Which I've got here shortly.
I know, very exciting. Yeah. So
right.
we'll come back to that. But at the time I was this is how I will leave, what I'm doing, in the Roanoke area. It was exciting to be a part of these big aquarium installations that were happening kind of in the heart of downtown.
Is there a little bit more pressure on you guys to really perform well? I mean, you're clearly doing it. That's not a question as far as the impact that you're having internationally, I might say. Even a bigger audience than your dad at this point, I guess.
Yeah.
That is crazy to think about.
It is weird to think about, but yeah.
You're more famous than your dad now.
I don't know if it can ever feel possible.
I know, there is that. Yeah.
There's probably wasn't a single time we went to, Famous Anthony's growing up for dinner on Friday night. I don't think there was a single time where somebody didn't come over to our table and say hi to Dad.
Yeah, that's true.
Did he get asked for autographs?
It didn't never happen. Yeah.
It definitely didn't never happen. The thing I've always joked is that he's been doing it for so long that I think he must have interviewed every single person in the Roanoke Valley, because just about anywhere we go, someone will come up and we did the story in Floyd.
I wonder if he remembers.
How good is his memory? Does he remember everybody?
He's so good.
He's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
crazy.
I can't even remember what I did last year. So that's really impressive.
We will go back and revisit videos that we made 6 months ago and be like, oh my gosh, I forgot we said that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys create so much content. To be fair, it's hard to keep up.
We churn out a lot of stuff.
I mean, you're turning out
week.
hundreds of,
Yes, yeah. It's a lot of us talking on the internet. That's the other thing too, is that sometimes I'm like, we're gonna run out of words. Is there anything left to say? We've said all the words.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, and so, before we get into the content creation, because that's like a whole nother segment of nerdism that I want to like jump into.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the aquarium at Center in the Square. And so I think that that's really cool because this plays a key role in one of the area's most beloved attractions. I mean, thousands of people visit there a year and you get to be part of that.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? I mean, I know that on the About page, we were talking about your love of aquarium and sort of how did that interest start?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's kind of the same thing. It's like it was a father-son hobby for, Dad and I growing up. I think right around the age of 12, we what really kicked it off was we drove up to New York. A family member was getting rid of a larger aquarium than the one we had in the house. And on that drive up to New York, I just sat in the passenger seat with Dad and I asked him every question I could think of about like how aquariums worked and how they fit together and like what like if we could like really like go for it, what would we do? And he was telling me about like discus fish and all this type of stuff. And so when I got to the point for my first job at like age 16, I was like, well, I'm gonna go get it. I want to work with fish. And so I went and got a job at the local Petland when it was on 220 next to where I guess it's Kohl's now, but was Walmart. And it was the same thing, like I feel like I very much treated it like I had this like high powered internship. It was like, I remember going and like,
You guys have been working since you were like 5.
yeah, I know. Yeah. Went and approached Mom and Dad. I was like, Mom, for my job, I need a saltwater aquarium. Like,
Right.
I need to be able to talk with clients
You need to
about
have lots of
clownfish.
experience on the
Flying.
daily.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so,
Like, calm down, Ben. You work part-time at Petland. Yeah.
Is your client named Nemo?
yeah. But it felt, it felt so important to me. I was really excited about it. My bedroom was slowly being filled with aquariums, and I was really into it. And it was like what we did together. So. When I was 18, there was a local aquarium store that went up for sale. The guy who owned it was moving away. And so the family purchased that store. And from there, it just sort of became this like center post for really who I was. Like I went to college at Radford University, but I was driving into Daleville, basically every day of the week, 5 days a week to have this store running. I was going around to like local clients and taking care of aquariums and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And I got to really start to meet like the major players in, it's weird to call it like the industry, from like a North America perspective. So like the guys in Miami and Fort Lauderdale who are building aquariums for, Michael Jordan and private islands and like really cool stuff. And, I started like getting to do real work with them. And so when the Center in the Square job came about, Dad sort of had like one end of it where he was involved with like the direction, the future of like what this building could hold. And then I was on the other end of it, which was the like, I could help build it out. I could, have a company that maintains it. Yeah. Like, we can get the scuba certification. We can jump in the tank, we can learn about jellyfish. We can do all these things.
And I believe your mom's part of it too. Yes.
Yes. So my mom is, our mom is a CPA by trade. And so she has basically been able to keep all of our businesses nice and clean and right down the middle.
Oh,
Yes.
she's the money. She's who you want to talk to. Got
Yes,
it.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. It's been an absolute blessing that our mom is an accountant and can tell us all the things to do and make sure we're not stepping outside of the lines anywhere.
Yeah, the finance department.
Yeah.
So she's been there since the very beginning and made sure that we've been able to kind of like walk that line just right, which is absolutely like it's probably the number one thing that like I've never been able to grasp in business across everything we've done. It's like thank goodness for Mom. So we're incredibly grateful for everything she does for us.
You hear that? Perfect.
I know. Yes.
The shout out on the podcast. Well, that's awesome. And so we were talking about, it's so cool to walk into Center in the Square because obviously the kids go straight to the glass, right? Like,
Yes.
that's what
They all want to like stare right at it.
press their face up against the glass because I'm told not to touch it. But,
Right.
it's so cool that you guys have such a big part in that, like that part of that tourism that drives people downtown to see all the great things there and they get to see part of your work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is. It's like the most fun thing. And kind of going back to some of the YouTube stuff as well, like, when everybody was able to travel into Roanoke for all the various things that we've done, it does seem like it's on everybody's punch list. Everybody wants to go and check out the aquarium.
See the aquarium.
Yeah, I always get like a small amount of like, oh my God, I gotta make sure like scrub them real good, make sure they're nice and polished for everybody's coming in to see them. But no, it's been honestly a blast, and it's such a fun. I just get completely lost in it. So after all this time, it's like, there are moments where you could feel jaded or something, and then you walk in and you're just like, I just love it.
I think few people can say that gladly over 20, 30 years. So that's something special for sure. Yep. You had mentioned YouTube, so I think it's time to get into our content creation.
All right.
So first question, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Oh gosh. Let's see.
I was hoping for that reaction.
Nope, I'm gonna go. This is my go-to answer for this is The Emperor's New Groove.
Old one. Okay.
Absolutely.
So good. That was I feel like our whole family saw that in theaters when it came out. It lived in our mom's minivan for like 3 years, like just played on repeat every morning on our way to school. We love The Emperor's New Groove. We can probably quote the whole thing. More recently, I would say the one that that completely shocked me because I just didn't even know how to be excited about it in advance, but absolutely loved it was Moana. I just found that I walked in and I was like, this is awesome. She's so cool.
Love this movie.
So
and then also then last year Encanto came out.
Yes.
That's another way up there. Didn't see that one coming at all.
Yes.
Yeah. We made 15 videos about it last year.
How many times last year did you say we don't talk about Bruno?
Oh, so many times. So many times. My Spotify rap thing came back in December like everyone else's, and it was I could not believe that my entire top 5 songs were all just the soundtrack from Encanto. And I was like, what?
Your algorithms must think you're like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever.
It's so true. But I think about it constantly. So I wouldn't say it's huge, but I drive a large truck, and I do think all the number of times somebody pulls up next to me at a traffic light, and I'm just blasting Let It Go or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just jamming out to our Disney tunes.
Whatever.
As you do.
Can't get enough.
Exactly.
Now on the Disney front, now you got married at Disney, correct?
I did. Yes. Yeah.
I want to talk about that. I know it's not a brand new thing, but I'm kind of obsessed with you getting married at Disney, with the whole shebang, the whole show.
I was obsessed with getting married at Disney.
Your whole life, or was it something that?
No, it was. It was when I met my wife Alice, the number one, she looks like a Disney princess.
She does. It's true.
She's got huge eyes, and
long dark hair, and she looks like
she works
Snow
at
White,
a dress shop.
Yeah. She works at a dress shop, sells bridal gowns. So
literally a princess just waiting.
I know. So it was that was one of those things where it's you meet someone who is in the wedding industry, and anybody who's in the wedding industry knows it is difficult to impress someone who's seen it all.
Yeah,
who's been to every event, every venue, and so same thing with Allie. She's worked everywhere in Roanoke, and I think that even part of her, she had some anxiety when we got engaged because she's I don't know, I know all the vendors, I don't want to offend somebody by picking
someone else,
this catering company over this catering company or something. So there was a couple of those small little things in there, but it was pretty fun because we had worked with Disney in the past, and while we were there...
That was a question, if it was after the Disney partnerships, some of the partnerships that you've been doing.
Yes, it was. So we were down there doing a multi-day shoot in the parks, and it was really cool. And Alice was down there, and Jay's wife as well, Beth, and the guy that we were working with, we connected with him really well, and he was just awesome. And there was this sort of total one-off comment one time where it's hey, if you ever guys want to get married, just
because he looked at Alice and said, princess.
I know. Yes, I know. She belongs.
Yeah. Put her at the castle. Call it a day.
Right. I know. So it was really fun though because I bought the engagement ring, and I had already been in contact with Disney Weddings, and had kind of told them the whole thing. I pulled every single string, every single person I knew who to call to get in touch with the director, the top person at Disney Weddings.
Wow.
I know. I was so proud of myself. She took a call in the middle of a hurricane running across the parks. I was this was one of those things where all the favors got called in, and she's fine, I'm walking for 15 minutes. I'll take this guy's call.
Right.
I mean, you had a harder time getting a hold of that person than probably the president of the United States.
I know. Yeah. I was so her name's Corey, and she's amazing.
Thank you, Corey.
I know. Thank you, Corey. So I was so excited to get to talk to her, and so I'm giving her the whole spiel, and she's okay. I've walked in somewhere. I'm listening to you. When did you get engaged? And I'm I'm actually proposing today. And she's you're not engaged yet. And I'm
whoops.
Well,
yeah, I'm pretty sure she's gonna say yes. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. And
The gall of this kid,
I
man.
know,
Calling
I
me
know.
in the middle
Planning
of
a
the rain.
wedding.
I know. So she's like, go get engaged, call me back, let me know how it goes. And so the whole thing goes down, and it's like, it's very perfect. And, so I'm telling Alice that like I've already like made this contact, and she's just like over the moon. She's like, no way is this even possible?
Because she's a big Disney fan too, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, maybe even
Yeah.
more so than you guys if it's possible. I don't know.
Both, and honestly, on all fronts too. Like when I met her, I was writing a Harry Potter script, and I remember she came into I was at a coffee shop working on the video, drinking coffee again, and I was like telling her the things, and she's like adding to my script, and I'm like, this is gonna work.
This is gonna work. This is it.
This
This is a
perfect.
good omen right now. So very, very exciting stuff. But yeah, from there, we talked. We were gonna we interviewed to go on like oh my gosh, Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings, like the television show, and they were like, "Can you guys get married next month?" And we were like, "No."
That's too soon.
It's like,
Oh my gosh.
Like I was like, I think the grandparents would lose it.
Yeah.
So we definitely had to like pull it back a couple of steps, but we still ended up doing an absolutely amazing video that just like documented the whole process of like what it was like to go down there, what it's like to work with the Disney people for a wedding, and like just we had like the videographers who shot the whole thing, and I mean they were so incredibly talented, and it turned out really, really, really cool. So if you want to see the entire video, it is on YouTube, and you can see sort of
I
like,
watched it like 5 times. So one of our other publications that we do is Bridebook, which is a wedding magazine. So
of course.
I'm
Yep.
constantly, I'm not as in the industry as Alice is by any means, but certainly I see a lot of weddings.
Yes.
Over 10 issues. So we featured somewhere around like 500 weddings, and I've never seen anything like yours. Oh my gosh, that Disney! It was like
Ben's was quite a spectacle.
it's something
There's
out of
no
a
doubt.
movie.
Yeah.
that is
oh
how
my
it
gosh.
felt. That is how it felt. Like I mean, people have asked me about it before, and it's like, obviously it's a big day, and I know many people like, one of the best days of their lives is the day that they get married, and like that is it for me. Like, it was so much fun, and it's like it's something I do get to keep with me every day, where it's like, I can go back to that day. I can go back and even just watch the video and be like, man, this was cool. Like this is such like a moment in my life that, will stand out as just one of the best days of my life.
Absolutely.
Ever,
And I have to assume it was fun for family as well.
Oh, it was absolutely fun. It was a total blast.
I mean, you were just kind of hanging out, like doing your thing.
Yeah, not only is the wedding so much fun, but then because Ben's whole wedding party is there, then you're just at Disney World with like all your friends,
That
which
sounds
like that
awesome.
never happens.
Yeah.
So that was really great too.
Yeah, getting to like walk around the parks, and it's
Yeah.
like, you're at these massive amusement parks, and it's like you could pass 15 people you knew. Like, and it was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like, when
you'll-
you hear and like so many people.
You'll never have that experience again. Like, what a wonderful
Right.
like weekend moment process.
Yes.
So actually, you talked about the parks, which I think is a nice seg, because some of my favorite videos that you create are about Harry Potter. And so you're talking to someone who definitely did Hogwarts: A Honeymoon.
Amazing.
And I was chosen for the wand sorting in Ollivander's shop.
Oh,
and
man.
I might have even written some fan fiction back in high school.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
So I was
You're in
curious as far as your favorite content to create, either in how you showcase it or in how specific topics like Harry Potter. What does it mean to be able to talk about something that's so beloved around the world,
Oh, man.
and to be in front of people who are excited to hear it?
It's unbelievable, and that was like when we were, coming up through the world of YouTube. It was like every now and then we'd make a video talking about a fandom or something, because like at the beginning that's not what we talked about. It was just sort of like stuff in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
And then we came across the Pixar theory. We made a video about that. And that just like exploded and went huge. And from there, it was just like, anytime we talked about like Frozen or Harry Potter or something, like, all the views would shoot up.
You
and
noticed
people were
those,
like, I was like, should we like only talk about this stuff? And when we did, I think it feels like in retrospect, it took us way too long to figure out that's what we should have done. Like we should have pivoted way sooner.
But like it felt like, you were taking like a risk or something.
Yeah.
Like when you were making that decision. I mean,
Sure.
this is like a departure from what we've done. It's like, are we doing this right now? Like, is this where we're going?
Right. And there was that. And then it was also this sort of like do people really want to hear this from us? Like, who are we on the subject of Harry
Right.
Potter or Disney? Or are we like, we're not like experts on it, but like the more you made the videos and like, people would come and be like, I never knew this. And that was so amazing. Like maybe you were like, I think we were way more leaned in than we even gave ourselves credit for.
Well,
in
and what
any
I think
way.
is interesting, so you're not just talking about, you're not like reading segments from a book or like talking about the plot line consistently, right? You're asking questions and theorizing what would happen if something else had been different.
Yeah.
So one of the most recent videos I saw was talking about how what would have happened if Harry had not gotten on the night bus.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so it's sort of interesting to think, well, what if he hadn't?
Exactly,
I
yeah.
mean, that's super fun. And of course, that's where like my little fan fiction brain just
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
runs away.
Yeah, we've
And-
been getting into the what if style videos here recently. Last year we did this like big 8-part series called like What If Harry Was in Slytherin?
Right.
Because the Sorting Hat very nearly puts him in Slytherin.
I will go into a rabbit hole for like 12 hours on that topic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's exactly what it was. It's about a 12-hour series at the end of the day.
Yeah, it took us like a typical Carlin Brothers script for a video is maybe 5-6 pages on Google Docs. The entire script for What If Harry Was in Slytherin was like 212.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like
each video was like 20 plus pages.
yeah, we were. I mean, like our wives, our coworkers, like everybody was like, "Are you guys okay?"
I was
like
I don't
checking in
know.
on you.
I was up till
Yeah.
3 last night. Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
yeah. It was like, I remember I got home from work one day. I was like, we have to shoot tomorrow, or we're not going to make it, or like, And it was like, but we're only like we're trying to go through the book as much as we can. We're on like chapter 12. Okay, so I'm just gonna stay up, and I remember staying up till like 3 or 4 in the morning a couple of times, just like listening to the book, writing as much as we could, and it's like. A lot of the what if videos, you can like make like one change and you'll get to a certain part and it's like, well, and then who knows? Now too many branches have happened.
Right.
But it's like this one, it felt like we carried the storyline all the way through. And like by the end, you've had plenty of branches. And it's just like, I'm just, in Sorcerer's Stone, it's a little bit different. But by the time you get to Deathly Hallows, it's like, this is fan fiction now.
Right.
Let's see how we're going to wrap it up. Yeah.
Harry's now like redheaded for some reason. I don't know.
Right, yeah. I think the biggest one was if you're a Harry Potter fan, the basilisk doesn't die at the end of Chamber of Secrets, which has massive ramifications for the next 5 books afterwards.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you have to figure out what's the basilisk up to. In
What's
this
the
one.
basilisk? Yeah. Harry has access to the basilisk, Yeah.
Does he
Oh my
really?
God, you can just talk to him and like,
Exactly.
Yeah. It turns
Okay,
out the
well, we'll be
basilisk-
here
yeah.
forever.
I know.
Turns out the basilisk
Oh
is
my
a
God.
great ally.
Go down that rabbit
well,
hole
and
real
that's the
fast.
thing. So you're talking to you're sharing these theories and you're giving these videos to your audience, and they are hardcore. Like the comments and the participation and the engagement that you're getting, it's not just about like the Super Carlin Brothers show, right? Like you're really giving fans a chance to engage with you and to discuss these theories and have fun doing it.
Yeah, the community aspect of doing what we do is pretty massive, honestly. Like, I mean, it's a big part. Like, other than like writing and filming and editing, like
and all
like
the other-
all those
just
things.
a couple
Running a
things.
business. Thanks again, Mom, for being the numbers person. But like the other big, huge piece of what we do is spend time, with the community itself, whether it's in person, at like a live meetup in like a major city or something like that, or like on like Google Hangouts, or in like we have like a Discord server that you can interact in and stuff. And so we spend a lot of time kind of like getting to communicate with these people and like expanding the ideas a little bit further and everything.
Do you take some of their theories and maybe think about them for yourself?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like
we have a
Ben
suggestion box.
Yeah, in the Discord server.
You
People
heard.
will tweet
Suggestion
stuff
box.
at us and be like, have you ever thought about this? And a lot of times it'll be like, here's a video we made on
yeah.
that 3 years
Been
ago.
there, done
But
that.
like sometimes it's like, it's a really good idea.
We'll have a video in 12 hours. I'll
Yeah.
see you later.
We have
Well, now,
not
wait a
considered
minute.
that angle yet.
Yeah.
Knocking small children out of the way to get to your computers. You
Yeah.
can put something together. Well, that's awesome. And so some of your partnerships, in addition to Harry Potter, include Disney, Marvel, EA Games, and the British Library. And so we talked briefly in episode 2 about how some of that comes about. But I mean, how does that come about? If you're looking for people, if people are looking to be content creators such as yourselves, how do they find those partnerships? Or
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it's like at the core of doing what we do, I think there has to be something to be said for just sheer persistence, which I know is kind of cliche advice, but like, from the beginning, like Jay and I were not talking about these fandom related topics or anything. We were just like talking about how much do you tip on a $2 cup of coffee? Do you still do 20% or should you do at least $1? Is $1 insulting? And it was like, what we realized was nobody really knows how to search out that piece of content. And then of course is what, also led us towards like the whole fandom end of things. But like, that's where I think we went through, and there are so many different unique instances where we would have made like one piece of content that started a path in a direction that like led to a remarkable opportunity. So like, for example, when we worked with Star Wars for the first time, they were doing a product with Lenovo, who was making an augmented reality headset that basically allowed you to like hold a lightsaber, and you could go and like fight Darth Vader in your living room right in front of you. And
oh my God, the nerd me is just dying. It's just cool.
It was so fun. And like when that's the one we got to like, fly out to LA and like do this whole thing where we're like, on a film set, like with a grip crew and a guy who holds a microphone on a boomstick and a director and like, like we're like standing in the backyard of this rental house that they've like converted into like a Star Wars haven, for the purposes of like making it look like two bachelor guys who live in a Star Wars themed house together to, whatever. And, we're in the backyard with one of those telescoping lightsabers with the director who's,
showing us how to do the moves. Yeah.
Right. And that one all sourced back to, there was like one day, I think we had just hired our first video editor. There was a video we had like lobbed on the board forever called like Lightsaber Colors Explained, and it was one of these situations where it's like, why does Luke have a green lightsaber instead of a blue lightsaber in Return of the Jedi? And does it mean anything different? And like, why do all Sith have red lightsabers? And so we went through it and basically broke it down. And I mean, the video it was like a day where we didn't know what else to talk about. And we're like, we should just do the lightsaber video. It's been on the board forever. And it popped off. It went mega viral. And it was like, when these guys, these like ad agency guys were like looking for the people, like who is going to be like that internet nerd out there who can like be the voice of our new product. And I think what they did was they stumbled across us. They found like a very authentic kind of enjoyment of this thing. Like, it's not just like reading from a Wikipedia page. It was like injecting our own.
I think that's key. You're passionate about it. You're enthusiastic about it. You're not just doing it to create content. You're doing it because you truly enjoy it.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
Sure. And so like, I don't even know that we were the first people ever to, come up with the idea of trying to explain what different lightsaber colors meant in 2015 or whatever.
Yeah. Whenever we published that video.
But, it was enough to sort of like send it out into the interether, if you will, where it was then discovered. And I think what they were also then able to find is like this other massive catalog of just these two brothers on the internet who are kind of geeking out about all this stuff. And so I think that gives a lot of, I don't even know what the right word would be.
I do. It's authenticity. You guys are so genuine in your videos. You can tell that you're excited about talking about those things, and it's not just you're doing it because you feel like you have to. I think that's really key, to be excited about what you do and talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, people bring that up a lot. There are some like, sort of content factories, if you will, that kind of drop stuff. And it's like a lot of times, a new movie, like a Marvel trailer will drop. And like within 3 hours of that, there's one of these companies who has like a 20-minute long
32 things you missed in the new Ant-Man trailer.
Gosh, I can't keep up.
Right. I know. It's like,
exactly.
It's
like,
how did you do it that fast?
Yeah.
And certainly there's a market for that as well. It's easily digested, but I do think that for the people who want to come back like week in, week out, and it almost doesn't matter whether or not we're talking about Disney or Pixar, Star Wars or Harry Potter or Marvel or whatever the case may be that week. It's like, I think they've been able to find that no matter what, this is a place to come and enjoy the things that we all enjoy.
Absolutely. So how many ideas are on your board at any given time?
Boy.
Give or take.
It ranges a lot. Coming up with like the next idea is always like the hardest part of what we do. So we do have like a tab in our Slack, like inner office communication, that's just called script ideas. And anytime anyone thinks of something, they'll throw something in there, and we'll scroll back through there sometimes. But sometimes it'll be like Monday morning, and it'll be like, I don't know what we're talking about today.
We are gonna need to figure something out.
Do you stress out like on those days?
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it's that if there's one thing that we try to stick to above all else, is it's basically just having like her upload schedule. So the Super Carlin Brothers channel gets 2 videos a week without fail, week in, week out. And that definitely, I mean, I'm sure you guys have stumbled across it as well before, but like, you kind of, you're in that position of like the deadline is like sort of inching closer to you, and your editor's looking at you like, hey man, we need to work on something.
When are you going to shoot this?
Can you write faster?
I'm working on it, okay?
Yeah. The ideas only come out so quickly.
My problem is that I need to eat lunch and drink 3 cups of coffee before I go near that thing.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Procrastination
like,
station.
I wrote like 3 sentences. I'm probably
I need a break,
for a break now. Yeah.
I'm going to reward myself with a croissant.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. we do a lot of like, reconsuming of the content itself. So Jay and I both have read the Harry Potter books easily 50 times plus each.
I imagine, yeah.
We very frequently have just like burned through. It actually helps now having kids as well, because like, turning on like Disney Plus,
true.
it's like they're watching Toy Story and you're watching Toy Story.
Right. And now when you're playing Let It Go in your car, you can blame it on your child.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Got my
daughter
daughter in the back.
there, so.
She loves it.
It's great.
What are you
Don't
gonna
mind
do?
that I'm singing every word at the top of my lungs. It's fine.
Yeah, I just love it. So no, yeah, we're coming up with the next idea is always the big one. But same thing with the lightsaber theory. Like sometimes you think, that like an idea is just sort of like a, I don't know, granola or something like that. Like it feels like a kind of like